So we are going to talk about InnoDB recovery improvements, a couple of suggestions here. Um, in this presentation, we are mostly focusing on what if all the redo records stay the same, just the mechanics of how we apply the redo log records, if we can do something there to improve the performance. So basically, I'll spend a couple of minutes just to set the context of which part of the recovery we're going to focus on. Then we'll talk about a couple of issues. One of the issues is quite well known, even the solution is well known. And we also have a patch which is working in production. So it's a well understood issue. And the second issue is more like something that I brought up a month or so ago. And a discussion is happening on that with Oracle engineers, mainly Kuba. And we kind of both agree that there is room for improvement there. And I'll kind of try to explain that issue and how we are planning to do it. So there is no patch yet, but it is something that might help everyone. And then finally, I'll just kind of try to give a picture of how we see recovery eventually evolving in terms of performance, the final North Star on the mechanics of recovery. So just to set the context right, there is a lot that goes on in recovery, but essentially it is these two loops. And that is where we spend most of the recovery time. There is an outer loop where we keep scanning the redo log records. Then there is an inner loop where we read the redo and then we parse the redo and then we store it somewhere in the memory. And we keep doing it until we have enough memory. And once we hit some kind of memory barrier, we cannot read more redo logs. We go and we read the data pages to which the redo logs need to be applied. This happens asynchronously. We just issue asynchronous IO to those pages. When those pages are read into the buffer pool, the IO helper threads, which reap the IO, they apply the redo logs to those pages. So this is kind of multi-threaded, the apply redo phase. And then we flush all the pages. And flushing means all the dirty pages are written back to the disk. And then we even evict them. At that point, the buffer pool is empty. And we can basically, once we are done with all the redo, we can just throw away the redo, do a checkpoint, start from blank slate. Typically, you can think that we always have enough memory. So the outer loop is typically one iteration. In cases where we are memory constrained, the outer loop can be 3 or 4 iterations. So that's how mostly the recovery works. Now to the first thing. So the bug number at the link is there. If you look at this whole process, you can see that reading the redo, reading the data pages, flushing the pages, it's at page level or that kind of granularity. There are only 2 steps that are at a redo log level granularity, which I have highlighted in blue. So obviously, when you're parsing redo logs, you have to do it record by record. Similarly, when you're applying, you have to do it record by record. Now, you can have tens of millions of records. Probably 99% of them are like, hey, go do insert in that row. Oh, hey, go update that row or delete that. I mean, like 95% of them are likely DML operations. To perform any DML operations, we need the index structure. So, but we cannot have index structure built from the dictionary because dictionary is also going through the recovery. So what InnoDB does is that it has enough context in the redo record, but it builds a dummy index. So we'll end up building dummy indexes tens of millions of times. which hurts the performance. It hurts more in the parse because parse is single threaded, but it still hurts in apply as well. And building here means you allocate the space, and now this index struct is quite nested over the period of over years. It has become quite nested. So you allocate the space, you zero out the space, you put in some entries, then you use it, and then you throw it away for each and every record. So the idea here is simple, that we usually don't have tens of millions of distinct indexes. Distinct index types are probably 10, 15, like which we are working on, a few dozen maybe. So if we can cache it, maybe we can reuse it. So that's exactly what this patch does. So we have in our own environment applied this patch on the parse side. On the apply side, we haven't applied this patch yet. But on the parse side, it has been in production since late last year. We can actually see perceptible recovery time improvements fleet-wide. So, and it has shown us no issues. We have obviously done some benchmarking here. So the pass time increased 100% on a sysbench. And overall total recovery time, which includes parse and everything else, has increased by 30% in case of sysbench. So that's one issue. We have a patch ready for this. Hopefully, we'll upload it very soon, and we are hoping that upstream will be able to incorporate that. So now to the second issue. Again, the link is there. It's a discussion that is ongoing. In this whole recovery process, we are going back to the same process. The last two steps are flush the pages and then evict the pages. Flushing the pages is a heavy-duty process, though it's asynchronous, but you're doing a lot of I/O. So I started this discussion that why are we even doing this whole flush? It seems that the strict requirement is that any page that belongs, that can potentially have an iBuff change that needs to be applied to it, need to be flushed. And why is that? Because InnoDB maintains an invariant that any page that is sitting in the buffer pool will not have any iBuff change that is not applied to it. So why don't we apply it during recovery? Because applying the iBuff change generates the redo. And while doing the recovery, we cannot generate more redo. So there can potentially be pages there which have pending iBuff changes. And we want to just evict them, flush them and evict them, so that when they are read in again, the iBuff changes get applied to them. There is no need to flush the whole buffer pool. So that's the kind of consensus we are reaching. And in that discussion, if you go to the link, I share some of the data from our fleet, because we kind of added some instrumentation to see how much time flush is taking, how much time apply is taking, and parse is taking. And it does show that it takes significant amount of time in terms of percentage of overall recovery time. We have instances where recovery will, for example, have 1 million dirty pages. It takes time to flush 1 million pages. So, I mean, this is kind of discussion level right now, but we are kind of zeroing in on what the solution might look like. So the idea here is that once everything happens, don't flush the entire buffer pool, but only flush if it's an index type page, which we know, because non-index pages won't have any iBuff changes. So we get all this information from inside the page. If it's a leaf page, because iBuff changes are only applied to the leaf pages of secondary index. So it has to be an index type. It has to be a leaf page. And max transaction ID has to be non-zero. If it is zero, then it's a clustered index, and clustered index is never using iBuff. So if any of these conditions is met, then we know this page can't have pending thing. The fourth condition here is that if it has no modification applied to it. Why is that? Um, because if we have applied some redo log to this page, that means that this page was sitting in the buffer pool when the crash happened. And our invariant is that any page that is sitting in the buffer pool won't have any pending changes. So the only way it can have pending changes is that if it is a secondary index leaf page that has no redo logs to be applied to it. We presume that this set will be much smaller than the overall buffer pool size. So hopefully it will give us some significant improvement in overall recovery times. So these are the two issues. Now I'm just going back to kind of more like futuristic idea where we envision that recovery should go. So if you look at the same loop that I just showed in the start, you can see that things are either single-threaded or they're stacked. So there are two things: how much we can make multi-threaded and how much we can do concurrently. So right now, we read the redo in synchronous IO in the same thread which is doing the recovery. Once we read it, then we parse it. And this is also single-threaded. The data pages are read in asynchronously. So only these two blue lines are like kind of concurrent, where the recovery thread issues the IO, and then multiple IO helper threads apply the read. Everything else is either synchronous or is strictly serial as well. Where we want to go with this is that perhaps none of this needs to be. I think because InnoDB supports the multiple batches, it has all the machinery to do all this work concurrently and in a multi-threaded way. So where we want to take the recovery is that, okay, you start the recovery, you start reading the redo in some thread, you start parsing the redo in multiple threads, you start reading the pages concurrently at the same time. So the memory is now no longer a requirement because once you apply, you keep freeing the memory. So you start reading the pages concurrently, and then you apply the redo in a multi-threaded way. And concurrently, you start flushing the secondary index pages that you need to flush and evict them. So I think we have a lot of resources when the recovery is happening because all the CPUs are just available to you. So basically, we should aim for a situation where we can utilize whatever hardware we have to the maximum. And this is where I think at least we can get closer to that. Yeah, that's about it. There are again the links. Any questions?
There's one question from Kuba.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for raising all these issues. I agree with most of the, I think everything. Maybe some small detail. I probably would detect the iBooth mergers in a different way, but this discussion is ongoing, and I hope we will reach a solution soon. Well, what I wanted to say is that the first issue we talk about caching the dict index objects, the dummy objects during parsing, that's already underway. We have solution which maybe will be in 26.10, and the solution is a bit more advanced even because it tries to remember for each prefix of read log what is the corresponding dict index object already parsed and filled with the data, so that the parser can just like skip forward without really parsing the bytes. It just recognizes, oh, this is the same set of bytes I saw earlier, and gets the cached object already from the cache. So that should be like at least the same speed up that you saw. And for this parallel parsing and apply, yeah, I think that's very interesting direction. But also that there are some challenges here. For example, the ordering of events that you are doing. Like you cannot do everything in parallel. You have to apply some ordering at least for the same page, or sometimes for some space events. So definitely something to work on. And I'm open to discuss the details. Thank you very much for bringing those topics.
Yeah. Thank you, Kuba, for that update. Yeah, if you guys have a solution, that's even better. It's a kind of a bit of a digression, but this was all about like kind of mechanics of recovery. But like you mentioned in your solution, you are trying to avoid parsing. If we can, kind of come up with a new redo log format where we have the length field so that we don't have to parse in the parser, but just skip over it and just hang it somewhere, that is even greater. But that's like kind of a long-term thing. And about parallel parsing, yes, I do understand there are challenges there. So the idea there is that multiple threads can parse, but it has to be a strictly ordered thing so that the file space operations can happen as a kind of a barrier there. So a single queue, but being done in parallel by multiple parser threads. But yeah, I mean, we'll get there when we get there.